During the live finale of The Voice Season 27, which took place on May 20, 2025, the stage at Universal Studios was illuminated by a dazzling array of lights, and the atmosphere was dense with anticipation. There was a sea of glowing phones that were capturing every instant of the crowd's roaring. One name in particular caused a frenzy of excitement among the star-studded roster that was scheduled for the evening. Blake Shelton, the cowboy king of The Voice, was returning. This evening, he made his return to the stage to perform his 30th one country single, Texas, which is taken from his album for recreational use only. He had walked down from coaching in 2023, after having coached for 23 seasons and winning 9 games. His return to his hometown was more than simply a performance. It was also a celebration of his history, a tribute to his roots, and a reminder of the reasons why he had become the show's primary focus and inspiration. The departure of Blake 2 years earlier had created a hole. As the inaugural coach of The Voice, he had been in charge since 2011, and his Oklahoman charisma, quick humor, and mentoring of talents such as Bryce Litherwood had helped to find the show. It was a bittersweet experience when his departure was announced in October of 2022. "This show has changed my life in every way for the better," he had remarked, noting the necessity to concentrate on his music and his relationship with his wife, Gwen Stefani. Fans had expressed their sorrow by posting messages such as "No Blake, no voice." However, the internet went into a frenzy when NBC announced that he will be performing at the season 27 finale. After a long absence, Blake Shelton finally makes his return to The Voice. Get ready to witness him do a wild rendition of the song Texas. The presenter, Carson Daly, was responsible for setting the stage as the second night of the finale began. The top 5 finalists, Jaden Cree and Adam David, Team Buble; Jalen Johnston, Team Ballerini; Lucia Flores-Wiseman, Team Levine; and Rienzio, Team Legend, having performed the night before, and their futures are now in the hands of the American people. However, prior to the crowning of the champion, the show wows with performances by special guests. Alicia Keys, Joe Jonas, Kelly Clarkson, and Chance the Rapper were among the artists who took the stage, but the name Blake was the one that got the most enthusiastic applause. Carson was able to catch up with him backstage and made a joke about the John Anderson cover that was on his new album. Blake, with a smirk on his face, made a remark, "I didn't think about doing swingin'," so avoiding Carson's humorous jibe regarding Gwen's reaction. Suddenly, the stage was turned into a miniature version of the state of Texas. A road sign that read "Welcome to Texas" was placed in the foreground, and a neon sign that read "Texas" was glowing on top of a saloon that had seen better days. There was a spotlight shining on the polished black stage as Blake walked out of the room. He was wearing a plaid shirt that was tucked into his pants, and his cowboy hat was tilted just so. The crowd screamed in excitement, and a wave of melancholy washed over the studio room. In the eyes of the audience, this was more than just a performance. It was the return of The Voice's prodigal son, the individual who had guided 9 champions and engaged in entertaining competition with Adam Levine for a number of years. The atmosphere changed as soon as the first chords of the song Texas, which was written by Johnny Clausen, Kyle Sturrock, Josh Dorr, and Lalo Guzman, were played. The room was filled with an upbeat pulse thanks to Blake's vocals, which were deep and twangy and were rooted in Oklahoma. He sang with the confidence of a road-weary troubadour, "I'm heading to Texas, where the stars burn bright," and his voice had the swagger of a wandering troubadour. A vivid picture of open highways and nights was portrayed by the lyrics, which were both contagious and prideful respectively. As the crowd clapped along with the performance, several of them mouthed every word. The stage was buzzing with enthusiasm. While sharing a video that has received thousands of views, the user commented, "Blake looks so good and sings perfectly." The presentation that Blake gave was a spectacular example of showmanship. As he made his way around the platform, his smile was contagious, and he gave winks to enthusiasts who had followed him ever since he was in Austin. The song's atmosphere, which was a love letter to the wild animal spirit of Texas, was emphasized by the backdrop of the deserted bar. In addition to praising it as his 30th one single, he referred to it as amazing and linked to the NBC promotional video. Not only was the performance a success, but it was also a moment that served as a reminder of the reasons why Blake had succeeded in becoming a country music giant and the cornerstone of The Voice. The significance of his reappearance was increased, from Blake's fun rivalry with Levine, which was revived with good-natured digs about Levine's mangy, musty chair, to his heartbreaking last season with Grace West. The program had been fashioned by Blake's 23 seasons. The song Texas, which climbed to the top of the charts the quickest, demonstrated that he had successfully reclaimed his roots as a country artist, which was the reason for his departure. On the other hand, his presence was like returning back home. Fans took note of the sentimentality, particularly because Bryce Litherwood, the winner of Blake's Season 22, also performed God Made that night, paying tribute to his mentor. Kelsey Ballerini, Michael Bublé, John Legend, and Adam Levine were the coaches that watched the performance from their crimson chairs. Their expressions were a mixture of admiration and nostalgia towards the past. Same hat, same flannel since he was born. Levine, Blake's lifelong frenemy, couldn't resist a shot and subsequently joked backstage about Blake's unchanging style. Same hat, same flannel forever, Levine said. Following the conclusion of his second consecutive victory with Adam David, Bublé clapped along with the crowd. He later stated to NBC Insider that Blake is the guy who made this show what it is. Kelsey, who had performed a duet with Jalen Johnston, a finalist on the song Whiskey Lullaby, glowed, her country origins resonating with Blake's performance. The homecoming of Blake was a personal experience for the staff. Producing professionals who had collaborated with him for years remarked on his ability to make everyone, from the catering team to the participants, feel as though they were being seen. He's the best, a stagehand informed a colleague by recounting Blake's practice of slipping beers to the crew during long shoots. He's the best, the stagehand repeated. His performance resurrected memories of his 12-year employment, which he referred to as a hell of a ride. During that time, he received 9 Grammy nominations and an NATP Reality Breakthrough Award in 2017. A standing ovation was given by the audience when Texas came to a close, with several of the fans crying. The grin on Blake's face was broad but modest as he tipped his hat. Blake's 30th #1 and his indelible mark on The Voice were both mentioned by Carson Daly, who has always been the show's steady hand. Daly hyped the moment on The Voice. The performance laid the groundwork for the night's conclusion, which was the crowning of Adam David as the winner of Season 27, which resulted in Bublé achieving yet another victory. Blake's moment, however, remained, serving as a connection between the show's history and its current state. After the conclusion, there was a flurry of video and reactions. In addition to sharing the NBC video with the caption, "Blake Shelton performs Texas on The Voice season finale," he referred to it as a fiery return. Fans speculated about his future, particularly in light of the fact that his new CBS show, The Road, which is a rival to The Voice, was ready to premiere. For a single night, however, Blake was able to return to the place where he ought to be, and his voice reverberated throughout the studio that had been his home. The song Texas was more than just a song. It was Blake Shelton's way of regaining his stage, his history, and his passion for country music. He had reminded everyone why he was the cowboy king of The Voice as he was leaving the spotlight, and the crowd was still roaring to his music. For the audience, the staff, and the finalists, his performance was a spark that ignited memories of a journey that spanned 23 seasons and demonstrated that Blake Shelton's star continued to shine brightly even when he was not in the red chair.